my dears, and welcome back to my corner of the internet. Today I've got another book talk video to share with you guys. I found myself this week wanting to film a book tag video, so I googled it, and this one really caught my eye, and it is the book to movie wishlist tag. Basically, you just pick 5 books that you would love to see turned into movies. Now my answer for this I feel like would vary depending on what day you ask me, but today these are the 5 books I'd love to see. So the first one is from Stephen King, and this is Dr. Sleep. This is the sequel to his very famous story, The Shining. The book focuses on the child from The Shining, Danny. He's all grown up now. You know, he's had a lot of problems in his life because of his gift and because of his childhood, you know, what happened with his father, if you're familiar with The Shining, you know, and it shows us where he is. You know, he's an alcoholic like his dad. Things are rough. He's transient. He's moving from place to place. And then finally, he sort of figures out that he can use his gift to try to help transition people from life over into death. And that's sort of what Dr. Sleep means. And I really loved this book. I had been so nervous when I heard that there was a sequel to The Shining coming out, you know, so many years later. It's such a amazing story. And I was a little nervous. I'm sure Stephen King was a little nervous too. But he said he had felt it was finally time to see what Danny was up to, and I think he really nailed it. And I would love to see an adaptation of this. I'd love to see who they get to play Danny. And I think it would make a really fun movie. Next up, we have The Wonder by Emma Donoghue. I did a book talk on this not too long ago. I love this story. I think it's so interesting. It's about a nurse who gets called to a small town to deal with a young girl who believes that God is speaking to her and telling her not to eat. So by the time the nurse arrives, it's been weeks since the young girl has eaten. So what she's kind of there to do, since there seems to be no way to make this child eat, is to observe her and monitor her and see if she's actually not eating. So from there, the story, I just find that it's such an interesting story. I absolutely love the ending. And I find with Emma Donoghue, the way she writes, it's so vivid that you can see things so clearly in your mind. So, I mean, when I think of this book, I can see it playing out. I think it would make a great film. And Emma Donoghue's already had one of her books turned into a film, The Room, and that was amazing, and I would just love to see what someone would do with The Wonder. Next up, we have All My Puny Sorrows by Miriam Taves. I loved this story. I absolutely loved it. Now, I can't remember if I read somewhere that they might be turning this into a film. I can't remember. I Googled it quickly before I started filming, and I didn't see anything pop up, but I feel like I heard that this is maybe in talks to become a movie. This is the story of 2 sisters, one of which desperately wants to die. She's done. Even though she seems to have so much going for her, she's a world-renowned musician. She has a husband who adores her. She's just so tortured inside that she doesn't want to live anymore. And the story is told from her sister's point of view, as her sister sort of struggles with what she feels is a race against time to try to save her sister's life. And it's an incredibly heartbreaking story. It is so sad, but it's so good, and I would love to see these sisters brought to the big screen. Next up, this book was actually written by a YouTuber. This is Dream House by Marcia Bisognin. I hope I'm saying that last name right. I love this story. It's just a little story, a scary story that was just so fun to read. The atmosphere in this story is everything. It is so good. It's basically a woman or a young lady is walking and a storm hits and she sees a house and she kind of goes to them for shelter during the storm. And just what happens inside that house is so weird and so fun. And I had so much fun reading it. Just the atmosphere. I want to see that created on the big screen. I would love to see the house. The house itself is a huge character in this book. And I would love to see how that could be brought to life. I love a good ghost story, no matter what. Like for scary stories, that's what I love. A good ghost story / haunted house story. I am always here for it. And this book was really fun. And again, you know, written by a YouTuber. So that's always fun. And the final book today that I would love to see turned into a film is The Lace Reader by Brunonia Barry. I read this book a few years ago now. It's been a while since I've read it, but I was so taken with it when I did read it. Let me see here if I can. This is how the book begins. I find it so interesting. So chapter 1 says, "My name is Towner Whitney." No, that's not exactly true. "My real first name is Sophia. Never believe me. I lie all the time." So that right there sets the tone for the book, in that, can you believe a word of what you're reading? And I love unreliable narrators. I think that's such a fun way to write a book because, of course, any story is the telling of a situation or something from that person's point of view. So no matter what, you've got to sort of take into account that it's memory, you know, from fictitious memory, but still. So I just love that it's set up as like what is true and what is not true. So this is basically about a woman who returns to Salem, Massachusetts. Her great aunt has gone missing, and so she's reluctantly had to return home. The title, The Lace Reader, is kind of what she is. She can read the future in patterns of lace. So there's kind of, you know, an element of supernatural sort of witchcrafty things happening in the book, which I love. I love witch books, which you will see next week in my book talk video. But yeah, I absolutely loved this story. There's a lot of surprises and twists, which I would love to see on the screen. In this book, it really stuck with me. When I ended it, I was like, oh my goodness, I did not see that coming. And I just think it would translate really well into a film. I know a lot of people about that book complained that they found it confusing about how it would switch point of views. I didn't find it confusing, but I could see how it would be a little difficult to translate into a movie. But I think that could just be, you know, sort of tweaked with switching the perspectives just a little easier. And honestly, I think it would be easier with film because you're seeing it instead of just trying to have to keep it straight in your head. So there we go. Those are the 5 books that, as of today, I would love to see made into movies. I'd love to know in the comments down below, what is one book that you would just absolutely love to see made into a film? And yeah, can't wait to read your guys' thoughts, and I will see you on Monday. Have a great weekend. Bye.